On September 10th, 2019, Wattpad Comments tweeted, "I want that twink obliterated." This is the Museum of Twitter, the show we talk about the most important tweets in the history of Twitter.com. It's Subscriber Sunday, where my Patreon subscribers vote on which tweet I cover, and they selected this tweet. And it being Pride Month, I thought it was appropriate. Also, I'm wearing this tank top because I went to the Mets Pride Night on Friday, and they were giving this away, and I figured this is the most appropriate time for me to ever wear this on the show. I apologize for my arms being pasty and untoned, but let's be honest, I'm the guy on TikTok who talks about tweets. There's no way I'd be tanned and jacked. Anyway, this tweet is just perfect. But we have to talk about where it comes from, because it really doesn't come from Twitter. Much like when I talked about a previous tweet from fanfiction.txt, this account, Wattpad Comments, is an account that takes something from another part of the internet and puts it on Twitter without context. And I think that removing that context makes it its own thing, which is how it can be in the museum. Now, Wattpad is a website where people can write their own fiction, and it's very much focused on like romance stuff, and there's a lot of fan fiction. And we don't know where, because Wattpad Comments doesn't say where they get their comments from, but on something on Wattpad, someone commented, "I want that twink obliterated." Now, I know like 95% of my audience knows the answer to this question, but what is a twink? It's more complicated than this, but I think actually the Google definition is pretty good, which is a gay or bisexual young man with a slim build and youthful appearance. And so whoever was commenting this was saying that they wanted a twink someone mentioned in the story they were reading, obliterated. Now, what do they mean by obliterated? We'll discuss that. But I wanted to talk to someone who knows a thing or two about twinks. Initially, I thought about reaching out to a twink, but I'm like, no, that's actually not who I want to talk to. I want to talk to someone who regularly thinks about twinks getting obliterated. So I reached out to my friend Michael Springthorpe, who's been on the show multiple times, because he, in ways we'll discuss, is sort of an expert on this topic. I forgot to plug in my microphone for this interview, so I apologize for the slightly worse audio quality. So, Springthorpe, obviously you're not a twink, but
No,
you have a lot of
never have been.
you have a lot of familiarity with twinks. And what do you think it is about twinks that leads them to be obliterated?
Well, they're small and defenseless. They don't quite have. You're not gonna say, "I want that bear obliterated." That's too hard.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna have a lot of like viscera all over the place. But also, I feel like twinks are usually as the like hot objects of desire for most of more people. They know that, and it goes to their head. And so it's also putting them in their place, frankly.
And so obviously it's used a lot for like celebrities and things like that. Are there particular examples that you can think of times where you see a famous person or maybe a fictional character where you're like, that twink needs to get obliterated?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure I saw it around when Challengers came out. I feel like someone might have edited it so that it was like Tashi Duncan posting that. Obviously, she has lots of reasons to think that. I think my favorite was probably when Pete Buttigieg was in the 2020 primary doing pretty well, and we wanted to get him the hell out of here. Not necessarily a twink, but it works. That's obviously the problem we run into a lot, is that now that straight people know what twink is, they don't really, they know the word, they don't really know what it means, and so they use it as a code for the F slur.
But in your personal life, I mean, obviously being a friend, I know that you are in a long-term relationship with someone who the gay community would define as a twink, in both like an affectionate
almost
way.
the textbook
Yeah.
definition of the twink.
How often do you find yourself thinking that you want the twink that you cohabitate with obliterated?
I mean, plenty. There is right outside the frame of this camera screen, huge messes of like plates that he left out from eating last night and laundry that hasn't been put away. And it would be great. So, at my worst moments, I want him obliterated for those reasons. But there's more than one definition to obliterate, and sometimes he comes in wearing some nice looking jeans, and I also want that twink obliterated.
Yeah, so like, how do you feel like, because that is the thing here, that obliterated is really being used in two ways a lot of times. It's used literally as destroy and destroy in a sexual manner. I feel like those two things live really close side by side. Like I saw someone, there was like when I was doing research for this, there was like a viral post that was like, "I want that twink obliterated as sexual," and I'm like, it is and it isn't at the same time always,
I do think for the most part it is usually used, like it is mostly used angrily. It is mostly like, I want to kill that. I don't think I can say the word. I want to make sure you can still be monetized.
Thank you.
But usually it's used that way. I do think it is used, it's just not as common, I think.
Yeah.
And also because, frankly, the people that are like, wait, this is sexual, they're the same kind of idiots who just never assume anything is sexual.
And I also feel like the subtext of using the word obliterate, even if you mean it in a destroy context, there is a sexual nature to it. Like, it is,
Yeah. It is so forceful.
Yeah.
The obliteration that is.
Like,
it's so forceful that it has to be.
Like when Tashi Duncan tweets it, she both means it in a mean and sexual way.
Yeah. She's thinking about spitting in Patrick Zweig's face while saying that.
Yeah. Another one I saw, which I think you'll appreciate, is I saw Baron Harkinin saying that about Paul Atreides.
Yeah, exactly. See, and that's the thing, because so much of our cultural, like our culture, twinks or people that you could label twink are featured so heavily across our society. You know, you could say that, like, Emperor Palpatine could be saying that about Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah.
And it's like, those are two straight character, well, as I've discussed on here, maybe not straight character Luke Skywalker, but you can still label that, and so it works. It's that's why it's so indelible, right?
Yeah.
It's applicable to so many different things.
Yeah, we really are at a moment. I mean, pop culture, I think now is almost at peak twink, given Timothée Chalamet's rise. Like, it's really special.
I mean, it's the term internet boyfriend is usually used, but it's like any of them are twink into a twunk, you know, if you want to get there, but like there are so many, and they're always the number ones. You've got like your Pedro Pascals, sure. He's not. No. But he certainly said this before.
I want to thank Springthorpe for coming on and giving us his expert testimony. And since that went long, I'm going to run through some of the references fairly quickly. One of the most famous times it was referenced, and definitely the most out of pocket, is when this guy on Twitter named Twink Savon said, "Stop adding nuts to perfectly good desserts," which made Nutter Butter, the official account for the snack Nutter Butter, say, "I want this twink obliterated." You talk about gay Twitter breaking containment. In an official Marvel comic called Lords of Empire Emperor Hulkling, a character literally says the line, "I want that twink obliterated." And lots of different queer sci-fi publications have used this as a name, like there was a Kickstarter for an anthology of queer sci-fi and fantasy called I Want That Twink Obliterated. And yeah, like I said, it is put in the mouths of so many fictional characters. Lots of people do it in reference to Spider-Man, and I think the simplest, best one is when someone just made it a meme with J. Jonah Jameson saying, "I want that twink obliterated." But Kate Bishop said it about Volo, a character in a new Pokemon game. Someone made fan art of Dr. Eggman saying it, presumably about Sonic. I don't know if that really applies. I don't know if a hedgehog can be a twink, but this is definitely not my area of expertise. Discussing Doctor Who, Owen says, "New series, Ronnie. Oh, we were lovers after we danced together all night. Who can say, ah ha ha ha. Classic series, Ronnie. I want that twink obliterated." And as a way of describing his own bulking up, Swoshilist said, "I wanted that twink obliterated," and posted photos of himself when he was skinny and photos of himself now that he's swole. But I think without a doubt, the character that is most commonly associated with this is Link from Legend of Zelda. There are so many different examples of people talking about him being the twink getting obliterated. Like, the most common way is just to put it in the mouth of Ganondorf. But I really enjoyed when it was reported that a live-action Legend of Zelda movie was going into the pre-production process. Tom Zohar quoted that and said, "Nintendo sending out the official Link casting call," and put an edited version of the Wattpad comments tweet that just says, "I want that twink." Because wow, can you imagine the level of twink that they're gonna get for that role? I know it's not my place to say, but like, we all know. Oh yeah, an analysis about the tweet. I think the reason it's funny is because the word twink and obliterated are incongruous with each other. Twink is gay slang for a skinny guy, and obliterated refers to like blowing something up. It feels completely out of place with the word twink, and that incongruity is what makes it funny. Not to give away my secrets, but 9 times out of 10, the reason why a tweet that doesn't seem funny on its face is funny is because of incongruity. It's kind of the skeleton key to understanding humor. Follow me for a new tweet every day, and if you want to vote on Subscriber Sunday posts like this one, please join my Patreon at patreon.com/Museum of Twitter, where also you get a weekly bonus episode called The Museum of Not Twitter.